east, with low teens more likely. And then the cloud and some outbreaks of rain continue across North Wales, northern England, into parts of western and southwestern Scotland overnight. Further south, some clear spells, but for the vast majority, those temperatures will stay up in the double figures as we begin Thursday. A cloudy start for many, a lot of low cloud lurking around these North Sea coasts, but bright conditions for the south, at least during the morning, before another band of cloud and rain pushes into Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest by the afternoon. 1 or 2 showers elsewhere, and behind the rain in the west, the weather turns increasingly windy later Thursday and into much of Friday and Saturday.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
we're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello, I'm Andrew Doyle, and in a moment it'll be time for Headliners, where I'll be taking you through Wednesday's newspapers with the help of 2 moderately successful comedians. But first, we've got the news headlines.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Miranda Shunker in the GB newsroom. Glastonbury Festival and the Test match cricket are among the events likely to be affected by a 3-day national rail strike. Tens of thousands of workers are taking part in the biggest walkout on the network in over 3 decades. The RMT union says the industrial action will take place on the 21st, 23rd and 25th of June. It's after unions and rail bosses failed to reach an agreement in a row over pay freezes and job cuts. Well, Rail Delivery Group Chairman Steve Montgomery is hoping talks will resume ahead of the strike.
Obviously, we're extremely disappointed with the announcement from RMT. This clearly striking, no one wins out of striking. So it's really important we ask RMT to get back round the table.
Boris Johnson's promised to cut taxes and reduce the cost of government. The Prime Minister is asking his cabinet to find ways to cut costs to the public and business in an effort to try and boost the economy. The PM thanked his ministers for their support after he saw off a vote of confidence in his leadership last night. But Mr Johnson has been left bruised after 41% of his party didn't back him. Well, the Chancellor has risen to the Prime Minister's challenge and says he'll cut business taxes in the autumn. Rishi Sunak is bringing forward a range of measures to encourage investment. In a speech to the Onward think tank, he said the government and the market need to work together to grow the economy. It follows criticisms from the Confederation of British Industry that the Treasury's cost of living support package last month didn't include help for cash-strapped businesses. More than a fifth of people in the UK say they're skipping meals to save money. Research by the Food Standards Agency says 3/4 of the population say the cost of food is a major future concern. Nearly 1 in 6 people are now using food banks. Mothers breastfeeding their children have protested outside the Ministry of Justice headquarters, demanding an end to the imprisonment of pregnant women. Campaign groups Level Up and No Births Behind Bars organised the protest, which comes after 2 babies died within 3 years when their mothers gave birth in jail. A watchdog investigation also found a woman gave birth to a stillborn baby in a prison toilet after a nurse mistook her labour for period pain. Well, on TV, online and DAB Plus radio, this is GB News. Now it's back to headliners.
Thank you, Miranda. Hello and welcome to Headliners. I'm Andrew Doyle, and with me tonight is someone we like to think of as the spine of the show, Josh Howie, and the brawn of Headliners, Leo Kearse. And I suppose if we're going with this analogy, I would like to think of myself as maybe, the pancreas? Or no, the liver, because I detoxify the evil that's going to come out of your mouth.
Well, I think a lot of people on Twitter would disagree with that, Andrew.
Yeah, there's another part of the anatomy that they compare me to quite frequently. But let's not dwell on that. Let's first open by having a look at tomorrow's front pages. And we start with the Daily Mail. Hard left rail union strike to paralyse Britain. This is the railway unions have announced their most severe strike since 1989. That's a story we'll be discussing. On to the Telegraph now. Johnson urged to make Hunt Chancellor. Apparently this will somehow help to heal the divided party. And plus there's a story there, NHS told to cut diversity jobs in waste and wokery report. Might be a bit late for them, but we will be discussing that as well in a bit. Now, onto The Guardian now. Tory MPs plot to vote strikes to keep Johnson on the rope. So these are the rebels who are hoping to paralyse the government's lawmaking capability. And there's a story there as well. Legal age for smoking could be raised to 21. Wednesday's Financial Times now. Stalemate with Russia, not an option, Zelensky tells West. So he's appealing for more weapons. He's also saying that full sovereignty for Ukraine is the goal. On to Wednesday's Times. They lead with cut taxes if you want to survive, PM urged. It's the cabinet ministers demanding action to fix the economy. And biggest rail strike for 30 years will cause week of disruption. Daily Express now, fighting back. Boris tax blitz to silence rebels. This is his attempt to seize back power in his disintegrating party. And finally, we go to the Star. RRRR tissue. I think I've said that right. This is Saturday Night Thunder fever. A double whammy of storms and pollen will cause sneeze hell. And those are tomorrow's front covers. So we're kicking off with Wednesday's Daily Mail now, and a rail strike. This feels like sort of proper old-fashioned news, Leo. I feel quite nostalgic for this kind of thing.
It is, and we've had a spate of strikes. I think on Monday there was a strike by the Tube network in London, and we're seeing more strikes. I think it's the most industrial action since the 80s. I'm not sure if that's right.
These are the worst strikes since 1989. This is particularly severe.
And this one looks really bad. So rail workers are going to bring the British rail network to a halt with a 3-day strike. Not one of these, one-day strikes. You can just stay at home and work from home. This is 3 days on the 21st, 23rd, and 25th of June. This is over possible job cuts at Transport for London and the National Rail Network. And there's also going to be a further tube strike on the 21st of June in a coordinated move also designed to head off job cuts. And this is because there's been a pay freeze despite, galloping inflation that's into double digits by now. And also redundancies. I mean, there's the train network is in a bit of a pickle because the lockdown really changed how people travel how people work and travel.
Yeah,
so
they travel to their sofa.
Yeah, they travel to their sofa.
It's about as far as they go.
They don't buy. They're selling 25% fewer tickets. And also people don't want to get on some people want to travel in the safety of a car where you're not going to be exposed to any viruses or anything. And the taxpayer bailed out the train companies by £16 billion over lockdown. And now it's time, to sort of get some of that back by making these cuts. And unfortunately, we're in this situation where there's incredibly low unemployment. So the unions and workers have got incredible power because you can't just, scrap everybody and get new.
Now, why am I sensing that you're not on board with this strike? You don't think this is a good thing necessarily? I mean, look, there is like you say, galloping inflation, 11.1% at the moment, and it's only getting worse. Yeah. They've had a pay freeze already because of the pandemic. Surely they've got a right to agitate for better conditions.
Well, they've been bailed out by a lot of taxpayers' money. So that's money that's being taken from the wages of people who work in supermarkets and people who aren't on huge salaries. So they're having to pay into the system, and train workers and tube drivers get paid quite a lot of money overall.
But it's not just about the drivers, is it? It's about other support staff as well who maybe not be on those kind of wages. What do you think, Josh? Are you on the strikers' side?
People want to earn as much money as they can for their job. I get that, but at the same time, when the average family I think contributed £600 a year to the rail network, and we're talking about environmental concerns where people should be using train a bit more. And it's not a 3-day strike, it's really a 5-day strike because the way that they're alternating the days, it takes a day for the system to reset anyway. That's the week where there's the 2 by-elections. It's going to be Glastonbury.
It's an Elton John concert.
Elton John concert. I mean, I'm already going to be camping there anyway.
Right, exactly. So that's not going to worry you particularly.
In both senses.
But what about their view? I mean, some of the workers are saying, look, the rail companies are making £500 million profits. A lot of the big CEOs, the people at the very top, they've made a lot of money during the pandemic. So isn't that lack of equality really at the heart of this?
I don't know. I think if train staff treated me better, I'd feel more sympathy for them. But they don't. And the drivers, they don't even have a steering wheel. It's just a button to say go and open the doors. So they're not doing a huge amount of work here. We could replace them with robots or even just trained Labradors, not even highly trained. Just some regular Labradors.
It sounds like you're just settling a grudge here. Well, they've been rude to you and you don't like it.
The amount of times I've turned up to get on a train to Glasgow and they're like, oh, this is for an earlier train or whatever. And it's like, so what? It's for a train to Glasgow, so can I get on the train? They're like, no, you need to go to the ticket office and get it all sorted.
Right, you know what you could do is get there on time.
No, then you go and sort it out.
I'm sorry.
Take some responsibility, Leo.
Then you get on the train and it's empty. And you know why? Nobody wants to travel on your train because you're treating the customers terribly.
Well, I'm not going to allow Leo to use this show as a springboard to settle his scores, so we'll move on now to Wednesday's Mail. And again, some genuinely nostalgic news here. This is a Conservative agitating for privatising the NHS. Josh.
Well, is he? That's the...
You tell me.
Well, I don't think he is. But, in the Daily Mail, Sajid Javid, the Health Secretary, basically, he said the NHS is a blockbuster healthcare system in the age of Netflix.
Can you talk me through that analogy?
Yeah, well, it's a terrible analogy.
I'm getting very confused.
First of all, there's probably a bunch of people who don't even remember what Blockbuster is.
Or they might be thinking of Bob Holness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which fantastic game show. Secondly, Blockbuster, it's like saying Netflix is better than Blockbuster. I'm not sure if that's actually the case. You go to Netflix, there's like one watchable film on it. You go to Blockbuster, there was some good stuff there, even in the art section. So that's a terrible analogy.
There's a lot of Sylvester Stallone and Steven Seagal, I seem to remember.
There was a lot of that.
There's none of that in Netflix.
And I can see it's had a massive impact on every facet of your...
Massive impact. That was one of the films. Massive impact.
But you're right, the annogy does fall down because Steven Seagal doesn't go to the NHS. Exactly.
He goes to Russia. And I guess what you're alluding to is the fact that you pay for Netflix, but then of course you paid for Blockbuster as well. So I think it's just a terrible analogy. Saying that, of course, the NHS can be improved, and there's going to be lots of.
Look, I mean, there is a lot of. I mean, this article talks about the people waiting in line for treatment is now at an absolute record high. They're saying here there's a record of 6.36 million people currently waiting for routine treatment in hospital. This can't go on, can it, Leo?
Well, some of them will probably die.
There's that. So silver linings, right? Yeah, that'll bring the numbers down.
Yeah, and I think people are very resistant to any sort of privatisation in the NHS. Privatisation has become a dirty word, and I understand, there's this, you don't want companies, you don't want profit to be a motivator in delivering healthcare. But the fact is that, private companies can quite often deliver things better. And you wouldn't want the NHS to manufacture their own ambulances.
Okay, but you're talking about sort of tendering contracts out for supplies and that kind of thing. But what about the fundamental core value of the NHS, which is like in America, if you're poor and you get seriously ill, you just die.
Right? But there are more than two options. We don't have to have America or the NHS. America's ranked 17th in the world. The NHS is ranked 13th. So it's not like it's a huge improvement.
Well, two things. First of all, there's nothing in this article that alludes that we're talking about privatisation of the NHS.
No, this is something.
It's a separate day. But I will say that as a traditional lefty, that the one thing that has got everyone was like, they're the Tories, they're going to privatise the NHS. We haven't actually seen really any evidence of that. The fact is that about 10 years ago, it was about 100 billion. Now they're spending about 130 billion. So there are inefficiencies within that system. The NHS is not perfect. It can, of course, be made better, and I guess that's what he's actually alluding to here.
Yeah, sure.
Things change and healthcare changes, and they need to do constantly updating themselves. I think that's what.
But there has been a fear because the Tories have often been accused of trying to privatise the NHS by stealth.
Yeah, but the Tories have been in power how much over the last 40 years?
12 terrible years.
It's and 12 years, the 12 most recent years, and and also in the 80s and 90s, and they didn't privatise the NHS. So I think people can stop worrying. That
if we didn't use these blockbuster analogies and Netflix analogies, maybe we wouldn't start running to this idea that it's about capitalism.
I'm guessing that he's someone who wasn't invited to the parties.
Right. That'll be what it is.
He's going to leave him with his blockbuster.
OK, so Wednesday's Sun now, and in a time where the news can seem very bleak, here's some genuinely great news, Leo. This is fantastic.
Yeah, this is more healthcare news, but definitely a lot more positive. So doctors have been left shocked after an experimental drug cured patients that had bowel cancer. They said the tumours vanished after 6 months of treatment in results that have never been seen before. But just to temper the positivity, the study was only conducted in 12 patients in the US. So, that's a very small group to do it on. But each participant of the 12 who took the drug, which is called dostarlimab.
Dostarlimab, I would say.
Is that written backwards? I feel like it's written backwards.
It feels like an anagram, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a riddle to be solved.
It's tomorrow's Wordle. But all of them have entered remission. So it works by unmasking hidden cancer cells, which then helps the immune system to find them and destroy them. So, at the moment, our cancer treatments tend to be chemotherapy or radiotherapy, which are very brutal on the body. So this uses the body's immune system to attack the cancer cells and doesn't have sort of harsh side effects.
I mean, it is incredible. You're absolutely right to alert us to the fact that it's a small trial.
Yeah.
It's 12 people, but they hadn't expected literally every single person who participated has no trace of cancer left.
It was 2 years ago when they did the trial.
Right.
So they're still totally fine. I mean, this is very exciting news. I turned 46 recently, so I've just been, the algorithms find you, and when you turn 46, I've just been getting a lot of stuff online for constant ads for getting my bum checked out. It's just now, it's incessant. Every time I open Twitter, it's just coming at me all the time. So I've just been putting it off because I'm terrified. But now it's good. Now I can just wait even more. I'm going to put it off even more because there's a drug coming my way.
See, this is why the NHS doesn't work. People just expect to get treated, and so they don't look after themselves.
Yes.
I think Josh is the pinnacle of health.
You could in the interval. We'll do a little checkout, and you could just make sure I'm ready to go for it.
I like that you're calling it an interval, like this is a combat sport or something like that, which it sort of is. More transport woes, this time from the Telegraph, Josh.
Yeah, so HS2 is going to be scaled back even further now. They were going to connect it to Scotland. They've listened to Leo. They wanted to go back. But they said it's not worth £3 billion, unfortunately. So,
wasn't this a major aspect of the appeal of HS2, that it was going to find a way for us to get all the way to the top of the country and back?
Absolutely, and then it sort of makes the whole project a little bit, it lessens the value of it.
So what is it now? You're just going to get an hour off your commute time to Manchester?
Just got to go to Manchester and then you just walk.
And then you just... Well, do you have any feeling as a Scotchman, or Scotsman, which is the right way?
Scots.
Yeah, Scots. Okay,
yeah.
One of them's really offensive.
You're lucky I'm not.
Do you feel passionately about this? Did you want a quicker route?
Well,
home?
I mean, I thought a faster rail link to Scotland would have been a great idea. Then I heard it cost $3 billion, and that part of my Scottish nature kicked in, and I'm like, yeah, they should definitely cull it. But no, I mean, on a serious point, Scotland is becoming a more insular country under the SNP. So we need to encourage, people to travel up and down and, share ideas, share culture, and see, Scottish people need to come down to Britain, come down to England and see that,
Yeah, see Netflix. Like, they've still got Blockbuster there.
Yeah, they have still got Blockbuster.
Come and check out Netflix, guys.
Very funny, Josh. Wow.
That's why he's here. A story now that a great many people are surprisingly enthusiastic about. USB-C ports. I have to admit, this doesn't really get me going. What's this one about?
So the EU has stepped in. They're normally we're used to them tinkering with the bendiness of bananas and things like that, but now they're sorting out USB charging ports. So they've ruled that all phones must have the same charging plug, and it's the USB-C port.
So that's a smaller one, isn't it? The one that replaced USB.
Yeah,
it's a smaller one. Yeah, the one that you've got.
Well, this is Apple. This is the other one.
And so Apple have been using, instead of using their USB-C, don't do that at home. You can damage your phone. But it's fine if you damage Josh's phone. But yeah, so Apple want to keep they've got a lightning cable.
Yeah, so Apple have the smaller one.
It's actually smaller. No, I've got an Android.
The way you said it, like lightning.
Yeah.
You never heard like this amazing modern technology.
Do you know what? This does make sense to me actually, because I've had different types of phones and I've got all sorts of cables lying around. No, it's because I keep breaking the screens and things like that.
Are you a drug dealer at the weekends or something?
Yeah, I have multiple affairs as well, so I have to keep all that going. But there's all the cables, and sometimes they don't fit because it's the wrong. And actually, if they standardised all of the cables, I mean, my life would be marginally easier.
Of course, we're not going to get any benefit of this because we're not in the EU.
So
we're going to be stuck here with our stupid old lightning cables.
Is this why you voted Remain?
Yeah.
So you could sort the cable business out?
I think Apple won't preserve a different iPhone port for the UK. I think everybody's going to get the USB-C. It's also going to affect other things like laptops. So all laptops, they're going to extend the rule to include laptops. And I think it's great because, I don't know, for a while it felt like every 3 months they were bringing out a new cable that you had to go. And, like you say, now I've got a box full of cables that, I can't do anything with.
Yeah, it does feel a bit wasteful.
But I can't throw them out in case I need one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
To connect an old, hard drive or something.
Exactly. And you're a hoarder, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're better at hoarder. OK, well, that's it for part one. Coming up after the break, we've got some bemusing NHS guidance, why certain prison cards are a no-no, and we'll look more at the Cineworld and View cinemas bowing to the mob. See you in 2.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
we embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Andrew Doyle, Josh Howie and Leo Kearse. Let's get straight into it. This is Wednesday's Mail, and the NHS have released some new guidance on certain kinds of cancer. Is this useful guidance, Josh?
Why is this still going on? How is this still going on? It's been pointed out before, and the fact that it's actually, they're still trying to basically delete the word woman.
OK, so tell us what's happened.
So what's happened is NHS, from its website, has dropped the word women when it comes to ovarian, womb and cervical cancer. Now, this is not the first time this kind of move has happened in terms of literature that the NHS has put out before for screenings and stuff. This is on the website. The Stonewall documentary that was put on by the BBC...
the Dolan documentary.
Talked about all of this. So this is not a new phenomenon. But so how they're still doing it and trying to delete the word woman is... It just seems unbelievable. So it used to say, for example, cancer of the womb is a common cancer that affects the female reproductive system. Fair enough, that all makes sense. Now they've changed it to most womb cancer usually starts in the lining of the womb, the endometrium. This is also known as endometrial cancer. So by not using the word woman or female in there, it makes it so much harder for people whose English is their second language, people who might have learning difficulties.
Are you talking about Scotland again?
I was actually going to make that joke, and then but you scared me so much before that I thought, you know what, I'm going to leave
that is a good point, though, Josh, joking aside, because, you know, this can have real-world impact on people's health.
Absolutely.
And it's almost as though they haven't thought it through. There's no one who doesn't understand what woman and female means.
Yeah, that's what... It's so stupid, because everybody knows what woman is. And if you're a trans man who's got, you know, a womb and ovaries and all the rest of it, then you know that you're included in that category. You know that they're talking about you, and you're not going to not get the treatment because of some, you know, something on a leaflet. And that's only applying to a tiny percentage of people anyway. And it just shows that wokeism is a new classism. So, you know, if you don't have the sort of... like you said, the intelligence and means to know that, you know, what a birthing person is and what endometrial cancer is.
Well, if you're learning the language, if you're learning English,
even
then,
the word
you know,
cervix, even educated women, some women don't know what the word cervix is.
Also, there's the principle of what this means for women and women's rights. You know, the idea of just changing all these definitions.
Dehumanising them to this kind of just body parts.
And they don't do it with men.
Yeah,
they don't do it with a guidance on prostate cancer or anything like that. It's a weird...
Prostate owner.
They don't do that. And it's a weirdly targeted thing. But the other thing is, I mean, it's, as you say, Josh, you know, the NHS, all of this stuff has been exposed. We're all seeing more and more about how enthralled they are to Stonewall. Even today, there was a leaked document which came out on Twitter for the Fair Cop Twitter account. They leaked to them this document from the NHS which shows that they were tendering contracts to suppliers on the basis of whether or not they had signed up to Stonewall's Diversity Champions scheme. In other words, they're going to jeopardise getting the best supplies on the basis of this ideological project. Will this stop? Is the NHS ever going to say enough?
And it's insanity, because if the NHS needs to save money, which it does, as you said, it's gone, you know, the spending's ballooned from 100 billion to 132 billion. So if they need to make cuts, why not cut all this nonsense? All the people in these posts who are making these ridiculous decisions that are actually then causing inefficiencies and causing, you know, issues for patients, why not just cut a swathe through all that nonsense?
Yeah. Well, it also can be dangerous for trans people as well. You know, if you have people... The NHS allow you to change your NHS number, which has your biological sex encoded into it, and they allow you to change that so that it indicates the opposite sex, but of course that causes problems if you're called for smear tests.
Or you're not
called. Exactly, these kind of things. So it does seem to me really futile. Anyway, we'll see what happens, but the NHS probably do need to wake up on this one. Sticking with Wednesday's Mail and seemingly trust in science is at an all-time high, Leo.
Yeah, this is interesting. So Britain's trust in science is at an all-time high after the COVID pandemic. So this is a new report that shows that 90% of UK residents trust science in 2022, compared with 85% in 2019. So the COVID pandemic was good for science, good for people's trust in science.
It's good for the Illuminati. Their plan is working.
But misinformation on social media, or coming from Josh, continues to present a threat to scientific credibility. But
so why have they put a negative spin on this?
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, surely if misinformation on social media is such a threat to scientific credibility, why is scientific credibility going up instead of down?
That's what I found confusing about this article, Josh. I mean, do you trust the scientists, the men in white coats?
I do trust the scientists. What I've become much more sceptical about over the last 2 years has been the people reporting the scientists.
Yes.
And that's the journey that I've been on, where things like when they said, like the Lancet published and said there was no way it was from a lab, COVID, and then it sort of turns out that guy owned half the lab. We put things like that.
The signatories were all being funded by the.
And I just remember my sort of snobbery towards like conspiracy. Oh God, they're so stupid, you know.
Then and then started coming true.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh.
But this is the problem. We have this thing which they call a legitimation crisis, where people no longer trust figures of authority. Right? We don't trust academics anymore. We don't trust the media anymore. So it's quite, you know, for things like you describe. I mean, there've been medical journals talking about how we should remove biological sex from birth certificates because it's not relevant, or that sex is a spectrum, which absolutely isn't. You know, and these are coming from the people who are meant to be the top experts in the world. So we have this legitimation crisis. So why is it not affecting scientists? This is a strange. I would not have expected this.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see it.
I mean,
as well.
It could be that this is all fake.
No, we wouldn't peddle fake news.
Well, no, but it says here 47%.
What are you implying?
47% of Britons think it's too hard to know which media sources are credible. 53% watch GBNews.
There we go. Just stick with us, guys, and then problem solved. Right, the next one is from Wednesday's Express. This actually affects me personally, as I've built up quite a few pen pals in the general prison population over the last few years. Josh, what do you think?
Good to know. Prison has been blasted. HMP The Mount, it's a Category C men's prison in Hertfordshire, but obviously you're, I'm sure, very familiar with it.
I'm very.
One of your favourite of the prison establishments, is no longer accepting handwritten letters. And it takes quite a long time through the article before, and even then it doesn't say why. They're saying it's on health and safety, and I was instantly thinking, like, what? People are going to sort of get paper cuts in the shower, you know, like, I'm going to shank you with this letter, whatever. But
you've got the lingo down. Absolutely.
I watched a lot.
You've done time.
You've done time. I've watched Oz, HBO. But
so they can just they have to go through an internet site.
Now they have to go, Moonpig and Funky Pigeon, and also they have to use WeTransfer or something else to do the photos.
So, but isn't the idea that if you're sending handwritten letters, you can either smuggle maybe drugs in, or you can smuggle information in, or something?
Well, no, I think you could still do the information through Moonpig and stuff. Like my mum told me that she loved me.
So misinformation does come in. Yeah.
But it's passive aggressive. I knew she was lying. But no, what I think is they mentioned right at the end of the article psychoactive substances. So people dipping the paper into.
In the name of the father.
And then
it was in that film. They dipped the jigsaw into.
And they're getting high.
And they used to put certainly people in Scotland that I knew put tabs of LSD under the stamp.
You and your friends in Scotland, I mean, you move in some very dark circles, I have to say.
But I was really surprised. Somebody was complaining, so the families of prisoners are complaining. Somebody said, so families are forced to pay for expensive cars from specific companies on top of all the other expense that prison brings just to keep the family ties contact. I mean, you could just not commit any crimes and not go to prison. It's supposed to be a punishment. You don't get to...
Wait a minute, Leo. So is your punishment that you have to get cards from Moonpig forevermore? That doesn't sound...
That is torturous.
That is...
Clicking on the link and then you have to enter your email.
Also, I don't think they have a sufficient range.
Yes,
I think that's the real issue. The choice is very limited. And also, it's not very sentimental. You know, I like a nice handwritten thing.
Absolutely.
You know, and what if you want to send, you know, a drawing that your child's done?
Or your wife is leaving you. You know, and the only thing you can find is the happy birthday.
Yeah, a Dear John letter from Moonpig would be really, really
As it sort of pops
bad.
up.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping with our neighbour. What?
Yeah, very insensitive. Don't do that if anyone's watching. Wednesday's Telegraph next, and religious freedoms in India seem to be under threat. Leo, what's going on here?
Yeah, so India is facing a diplomatic crisis over remarks by government officials about the Prophet Muhammad, which have been described as blasphemous. So two BJP, that's the Bharatiya Janata Party. I almost bailed out of trying to pronounce that.
No, you did well.
The two BJP spokespeople, Nupur Sharma and Naveen Jindal, were accused by members of the Muslim community of insulting Islam's Prophet Muhammad and his wife Aisha. And this comes in the context of, Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International are accusing the Indian government of looking the other way and even enabling hate speech against Muslims. So Muslims form 14% of India's population.
Yeah, they're minority.
And there's some friction between, Hindus and other sects and also the Muslim population. And in the wider geopolitics of the region, obviously India is in a sort of in a frozen dispute with Pakistan, and both countries are nuclear armed, and Pakistan's a Muslim country, so this could feed into the wider battles in the region.
But it's interesting that they talk about hate speech specifically, and India is very much built on secularism. But there is a case that politicians, elected officials, people who are representing the whole country of all faiths might want to be temperate about their language. And I don't think that's a free speech issue necessarily. I wouldn't want to hear our elected politicians slagging off a particular faith. I don't think that's fair, is it, Josh? Or?
Well, no, it isn't. And what's interesting is, this is the Telegraph, it doesn't say what these two officials said. I went online, I've literally spent the last hour trying to find because they might say that it's blasphemous or taking offence, because none of these publications actually are saying or really giving any indication at all of what was said.
So what was said? Come on, Josh.
All right, what was said was...
Okay,
what she said was she made a comment about the Prophet Muhammad marrying Aisha, and she was supposedly 6, or they got married at 9, or something like that. Now, whether she said that in a disparaging way or made like a...
I think the issue... but that is not something that Islamic scholars would dispute. It was a different time. I think the issue is the way in which she delivered... I think her tone, apparently, from what I understand, she was being very sort of aggressive in her tone, and I think she also mentioned other verses from the Quran about the flying horse and things like that in a disparaging way. Okay. And so it's not that she said something that I don't know, but it just sounds, because everyone's avoiding saying what it is she said, which is odd. Because how can we judge whether
Josh? Oh my God, this guy, he'll go right out there.
But do you agree? Do you take my point though that even if let's say she said something which is blasphemous, right? Yeah. Even in that case, and I wouldn't agree that there should be any repercussions. You can blaspheme. I think anyone should be able to blaspheme as much as they want. But if you're an elected official, don't you have a responsibility not to target and insult certain groups needlessly? Why would you do that?
No, I agree with you. I think. It sounds like it was a very stupid thing to say. It was like during a debate or something on some TV show. She immediately apologised. This other person's been expelled from the party as well. What's interesting is that people in India. Some people are saying that they shouldn't have capitulated at all.
Yes.
But the reason is it's more economic, because now this has kind of spread to the UAE and Qatar, and in India has been building up economic ties with those countries. There are a lot of economic migrants working within those countries, so they're eager to get this to go away.
There is a lot.
There's a tendency in even in secular countries for politicians to use sectarian differences to try and score points, and I think it should generally be avoided.
Yeah, good advice. Anyway, we did cover this next story last night, but it has picked up a lot of traction overnight. When we covered it last night, it was from the Bolton News. It was in a local paper, and now it's gone nationwide. So this is now in The Guardian, Josh. Similar theme.
Yes. So what would seem to be one cinema, Bolton Cineworld, actually protests now spread to other cinemas, and it's been announced today that this film, The Lady of Heaven, which some people are calling blasphemous, that doesn't mean it, by the way, is blasphemous.
Yes.
But some people are calling it blasphemous, and we'll get into that. Cineworld has pulled the film from all of its cinemas now.
But we don't have blasphemy laws in this
Well,
country.
no, exactly. So people can accuse it. Now, what it says here is that after branches were picketed by Muslim activists, what it really is Sunni Muslim activists. This is a sectarian issue. And
Can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah,
so the filmmaker is...
The filmmaker is Shia. The Sunni activists are saying that the narrative that is pushed in the of the film is goes against their belief system.
Yes.
So it's written by a Muslim. It's this is an inter-Muslim issue. So it isn't like someone's just come along and sort of made some comedy about the Prophet Muhammad or something.
Yes.
This is some people's interpretation of it is that it's offensive. That doesn't mean that it actually is offensive necessarily.
What caught my eye about this is that video that went viral, and you saw lots of this article saying about 200 men. It was all men standing outside the cinema shouting Allahu Akbar, and the guy coming out, the cinema manager, and saying, yes, we're taking it, we're not going to show it anymore. Obviously petrified.
Yeah,
you can
he
see
said,
the fear.
I had nothing to do with this. They made me show this
He
film.
said, I agree with you, I agree with you. Well, why does he agree with them? If you don't want to see the film, don't buy a ticket for the film. Problem solved.
Yeah, but he's scared of the angry mob of Islamists outside his cinema who might send him and his family into hiding, like they did with the Batley school teacher.
Grammar school.
Sorry, mate.
Well, just it's interesting here. The film's producer defended the film, said it was silly and against British values for the film to be pulled completely. But I think. Were they British values on display outside the cinema? I think it's naive for people to think that we can suck in, bring in hundreds of thousands, millions of people from other cultures, really radically different cultures that are pretty much diametrically opposed to Western liberal democracy, with completely different attitudes to equality and tolerance and LGBTQ rights and women's rights, and expect them to suddenly arrive here and just become British citizens with British values.
Yeah, but these are people raised in Britain. Like, you listen to the accents, these are people, local people, but then,
culture doesn't evaporate.
I don't think it's an immigration issue. It is the idea of parallel societies going on here. And
the one point that I didn't get to make yesterday is if you watch some of the later videos, what they start chanting is Shia Kafir, which is supposedly the worst thing you could ever, because it means like non-believer. So it is very much a sectarian issue here, and for them to be shouting that and chanting that is really quite. So
effectively, we've got
these are Islamists.
So effectively, Cineworld is
capitulating to Islamists.
Well, taking a side in a sectarian issue,
that's
right?
The point. And they're doing it to ensure the safety of our staff and customers. Yeah. They should not be put in that point. And then what does that say? Like, where does this go from here?
Where were the police, by the way?
Exactly. No police. And it's like, I'm not going to, we go and protest Top Gun 2 because it's not homoerotic enough.
Well, I was actually thinking of doing that. I was very disappointed because the first one is...
Oh,
I mean, it's a gay classic.
Absolutely. And now, the second one, it had only like one scene with their tops off.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
Volleyball. What's the point?
Tom Cruise is 58 now. I mean, he can't be...
But he looks the same as he ever did. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. Okay, but
back
Josh,
to the Muslims.
but you're not pleased about that?
No, I think it's a very dangerous precedent. And I don't like seeing... chanting mobs of Islamists frankly being capitulated.
It is reminiscent of the Batley Grammar School, and that teacher went into hiding and had death threats and all sorts of terrible things. And it does come down to this point that, we just have to stand up for free speech. Yeah. We really do, all the time, because if you give an inch, this kind of thing keeps on happening. Anyway, that's it for part 2. Coming up, we're going highbrow. We've got Love Island, Britain's Got Talent, and sex robots that have developed the capacity to feel. Like a disturbing version of Short Circuit. OK, well, we'll see you in a couple of minutes anyway.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
we embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you. And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Andrew Doyle, Josh Howie and Leo Kearse. So we're going to get right on it. Wednesday's Daily Star now, and the winner of Britain's Got Talent has come under fire. Is this justified, Leo?
I don't think it is. So a comedian won Britain's Got Talent at the weekend. Axel Blake. I don't know if either of you have gigged with him.
Never.
Oh, no, but I saw him. He's funny.
Yeah,
I thought he was really funny.
An incredibly likeable guy as well. And other, I haven't gigged with him, but Darius Davies, Junior Booker, Mooch Michaels, they're friends of mine, and they've gigged with him. And they say he does great in the clubs. But he's been criticised. People are saying he's a professional who is sort of exploiting Britain's Got Talent to get through and boost his
Tell me this,
career.
do you have to... is it like the Olympics? You have to retain your amateur status to be in Britain's Got Talent? Is that the way it works?
I mean, I guess that's what people are saying or assuming, but that's never been the case with Britain's Got Talent. We've had professionals enter it, and professionals... I mean, even in this in the final, one of his fellow finalists was singer Lauren Allred, who appears in The Greatest Showman. So,
which is quite a big mainstream film, right?
It's huge, yeah.
So, wait, but they're saying because Axel Blake has got a Amazon Prime special or something.
Yeah.
He's a paid comedian.
But supposedly it was self-financed and...
Yeah, anybody can
put a thing on Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could upload headliners to Amazon Prime every night.
I think the bosses here might have an issue with that, but on principle though, isn't the spirit of Britain's Got Talent? You think of people like Susan Boyle, comes out of complete obscurity and just is able to sing with this beautiful voice. Isn't that sort of the spirit of the thing? And if people have been on the circuit for years, it kind of undermines the point of the show.
You know what it's like. It takes years to be funny, and I'll get there.
You will. Comedy's one of those things you can't do it. You can't tell jokes in the shower and get good at telling jokes in the shower. You got to go out and do it in the clubs. And also, I mean, he's going out. He's doing spots at weekend clubs. Yeah. But that's not huge. He's not making
not famous. No one had heard of it. No one had heard of him before. That's the reality of it. He deserves it. He's funny. Good for him.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, now it will come as no surprise that all three of us have eagerly awaited this season of Love Island. Huge fans. And therefore, it's no surprise to any of us that deep societal questions have emerged from such a thought-provoking show. Take it away, Josh.
This is in The Independent, and supposedly there's an age gap on the show. There is Gemma Owen, and this is the scary thing when this came out, is even I've heard of Michael Owen, the footballer. So this is his daughter, who's 19 years old, and there's supposedly a little thing that's possibly going to happen with a 27-year-old. So there's 8 years difference. Now, to me, that doesn't seem like such a big deal, but then my wife's older, so I'm used to age gaps. And I don't think it's a problem at this age. I think it's a problem when you get older.
So who's upset about this?
Well, I mean, old women.
So this is something I've noticed more and more creeping up over the last few years. People getting really obsessed with other people's love lives, you know. And I'm just kind of thinking, it started back when, Stephen Fry married a much younger man, and there were very judgmental people. I just think, two consenting adults who've fallen in love, what the hell has it got to do with you?
Yeah, one of them just about an adult, but yeah, absolutely.
But what? No, seriously, we've got an age of consent.
I just remember how old I was at 27. like into maturity-wise. I was an absolute idiot.
And that's the thing. I mean, like, I think younger women go for older men because men are idiots up until the age of about, well, I'm hoping, like, when I turn 60, I'm going to be less of an idiot. But women mature earlier, you know, they're more socially aware and all the rest.
But what if you're someone who's younger who is just instinctively attracted to much older people? That happens.
Yeah.
You know, why this need to sort of police what adults get up to?
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, and
says the man with the 16-year-old boyfriend.
I've told you, we're not talking about that. Go on.
And yeah, she's, you know, there's 8 years difference. So I'd understand if it was some 58-year-old guy, you know, an oligarch, swanning into the Love Island villa, whatever they've got. And,
well, he wouldn't be right for the show, would he?
Yeah.
Because they all look identical on that show.
Yeah, that would be like, you know, the Democrats, some sort of Democrat donor island, but not Love Island on ITV.
Yeah, can I say you've just raised a very good point. Those young women are doing all this filler stuff, so they all look about 10 years older.
Yeah.
And all the blokes probably have a little bit less, so they probably do actually look about the same age now.
Everyone looks like an ageless duck.
Yeah, they all look, they're all waxed and perfectly sculpted. It's very boring. I think there should be more diversity there. But, you know, even in those cases where you have a young woman who's clearly gone after an octogenarian man millionaire, right? It's still free choice that adults make. And, you know, why the need to sort of stand there and wag our fingers and say, you shouldn't be doing this? I did.
And Anna Nicole Smith, when she went for, you know, she went out with, like, literally, I think he was 90 years old.
Oh, yeah.
This oil billionaire.
Yeah, but he was sexy.
But
let's be real.
The money, the amount of when he.
I mean, look, but you know, money and power can be a turn on to people. Look, anyway, I just think it's a strange one. Anyway, and also Love Island, that is a small age gap. It's like 8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Oh well. Daily Star once again, and worrying news to those that like to illegally stream the weekend's football every now and then. Leo, apparently this is a thing that people do and they make money off it. Is this right?
Yeah, so this wasn't... I mean, I think we're all used to streaming sporting events. You don't want to pay 25 quid to watch Tyson Fury, so you find an illegal stream.
We're going like, what are you talking about, mate?
I don't want to pay anything to watch Tyson Fury.
Well, there's something that you do want to watch. I don't know what sporting event or...
Backgammon.
So if you want
backgammon finals.
The World Backgammon Finals in Istanbul, then you don't want to spend, 45 quid on HBO to watch it. You find an illegal stream. But this is something different. So a criminal has been forced to pay £1 million because he was illegally streaming Premier League stuff. But he wasn't just streaming it to his laptop. He was... so this guy, he's called Stephen King, nothing to do with the writer.
He can afford a subscription.
Unless he's fallen on hard times. But he's fraudulently providing access to top-flight English games to more than 1,000 pubs, homes and clubs. So they're supposed to, you're supposed to pay... A pub shows the football, and it's got the little pint glass in the corner to show that it's the official pub stream, which is more expensive than the residential stream. So he was providing that to pubs through his Dreambox company, but it was fraudulent. He wasn't then paying on the revenue to...
And is that little pint glass going to get a little, crown now that Boris is putting that back on?
Well, yeah, and with inflation, that little pint, I mean, it's probably going to be a half pint, because a full pint's £8 now. But
this seems like a clear-cut case of someone breaking the law, though,
He was totally breaking the law.
Yeah.
He was totally... I mean, it's theft. So and the £1 million he's got to pay, that's not a fine. That is just the money that he stole. He's got to pay it back.
So I think he stole $5 million, or he made $5 million. But if he doesn't, his prison sentence gets extended by another 6 years, 8 months.
There is this weird thing. Why do people feel
extortion.
That downloading things illegally from the web, that's not really theft? Because it really isn't. It really affects artists and creatives as well when you nick their...
It's not really theft.
Oh... This sounds like a confession to me, Leo.
Somebody broke into my car and nicked my camera gear, and that was a theft, because then I didn't have my camera gear. If somebody had broken into my car and made an exact copy of my camera gear and then left my car and my car was perfect, I wouldn't really have minded.
I don't know about that, Leo. Someone downloads your special, your stand-up special. That's £10 you didn't get that they would have otherwise given it to you.
There is nowhere you can pay £10 and get my stand-up special.
Okay, fine. I was being theoretical. Anyway, Wednesday's Telegraph, and it turns out women have been right all along. Men are the weaker sex. Well, no surprise.
Well, no, absolutely. So, more important than that, exercise can hurt you.
Oh, that's something I've known for a long time.
Yes, exactly.
Which is why I do not participate.
I know it's great to have this confirmed that running marathons actually can age you. For men over 40, their hearts are like 10 years older or something than they would be just if you're a big old fatty like me.
I'm not fat at all.
Well, it's all down there. Anyway, whatever. I arranged the table just at the gut.
Josh, please stop fat shaming yourself.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
But keep doing it, Josh. You need the motivation.
I know. I will change. Well, I was going to start writing. Yeah, I read Paul Tonkinson, really funny comic. He wrote this brilliant book called 26.2 Miles to Happiness, and it really inspired me. I was like, I'm going to start getting out there and running these marathons, but now I'm just going to call him up and say, yeah, mate, you're going to die soon.
Yeah, because it's clearly not good for you.
Well,
Leo, does this worry you? Because I know you go to the gym.
Yeah, but I don't do marathons because they're obviously bad for you. Like I think gentle exercise and lifting weights and stuff like that, a whole body exercise, just doing one monotonous exercise for 26.2 miles is insanity. I mean, if you drove a car, like all these, and there are people doing endurance runs that are longer. It's like you do 4 marathons, and obviously that's like getting your car out and running it, driving it at 150 miles an hour. It's going to burn out the engine. It's going to burn out the parts.
So the article really is saying that mild exercise, gentle exercise, is actually positive.
Yeah.
It's when you do these sort of extreme endurance.
When Eddie Izzard's basically got another year.
Oh, I see. So I can keep doing like my gentle sort of decoupage or deadheading the dahlias in the garden.
Well, actually, it just affects men, so Eddie Izzard's going to.
Yeah, and women's go. Their hearts get younger.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
It's so unfair.
And what about non-binary?
Luckily, there's no difference between men and women.
None at all. It's all a social.
Well, that's
construct.
why you've got all these men now identifying as women. Because they're in sports, because they're hoping
that they'll live longer.
It's going to transfer across.
OK, well, it's a bulletproof theory.
Spoiler
this
alert.
Next one from the Mail, I wholeheartedly endorse. Vegetarians' brains just work better. You see, I've been saying this for a long time.
Are you vegetarian?
I am.
All right, I didn't know that. But yeah, there's research from Birkbeck University. Doesn't sound like a real university to me. They say that following a pescatarian, which is fish, vegetarian, which is vegetables, or vegan, which is vegans, diet can boost your memory. So a variety of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, low-fat dairy products, skinless fish and chicken, nuts and legumes are all key to having absolutely no fun at dinner time, by the sounds of it. They say it can slash the risk of heart disease and improve your memory, but I reckon this study was done by vegans who knew what they wanted to find and went out and found it. This is why you can't trust scientific
vegan scientists.
You're saying
trust
this
in
because
science just plummeted back down.
You're a rabid carnivore. You would say this. Although I say this, like, if a vegan diet is meant to make your memory better, a lot of these vegan protesters seem to forget that breaking things is against the law.
Yeah.
So it doesn't appear to work in their case.
Also, if a vegan diet makes your memory better, well, good for you. You're going to remember a bunch of rubbish meals.
Right, we're going to move on now. The next one from the Mail. This genuinely frightens me. I cannot endorse this. AI. And I tell you what, because sci-fi dystopian films terrify me, stop inventing robots that think.
I know, this is scary. So the Daily Mail has, and I've been doing this show for a while now, reading Daily Mail articles. This is by far the most intelligent Daily Mail. I need to have some vegetables or something to read this article.
Yes.
Because it is a beast to work through. But essentially, they created this artificial intelligence, which if you give it if you say these like phrases, it'll paint for you these amazing pictures. In the end, I just had to watch an online video because it was easier. And they've now discovered that, and these pictures are amazing and they're beautiful, and they sort of trained it to kind of create these original images. But what's scary is they've put words into the program now, and then it will give the words back to you. It's basically speaking its own language.
Yeah.
So it's terrifying.
So what you're saying is the AI, the computers have invented their own language.
Yeah.
That's one step away
based on Latin, so you might get on. You could be mates.
Well, I would appreciate the educated element of that, but then it's one step from creating your own language to creating your own weapon that can destroy humankind, right?
Absolutely. Terminator, just watched it with the kids the other day. Yeah. We're all suitably terrified.
Leo, am I just being a Luddite?
No, I mean, I think we're at some point machines are going to become self-aware and are going to be able to think. And at the moment they can only think in certain. We can very much constrain where the AI goes. So in this case, they're only looking at how to create an image. But at some point, we know at some point over the next, it could be 20 years, could be 100 years, but at some point, machines are going to develop the complexity to become self-aware.
And they're going to
launch nuclear weapons.
Well, they're going to realise they've got a bad lot, or they're going to watch Terminator 2 and think, that's a good idea.
And we get to run the world. Yeah. They run everything. They're basically like the Chinese government, but made out of robots.
Yep.
Yeah, but can I just tell you the most terrifying thing here? 2017, Facebook was forced to shut down a pair of AI bots after they started using their own language to communicate. So they create their own language and they shut it down.
Facebook is going self-aware.
That is just terrifying.
Terrifying. OK, Wednesday's Sun, this is probably our last story. And a sentence that would blow my long-deceased great-grandparents' minds. Sex robots are being printed skin that can feel. So, wait, not only have we got AI, where the robots learn to think, they now learn to enjoy sexual activity?
Exactly. We're getting one step closer to, well, the perfect girlfriend.
No, you can give it pleasure.
Yeah, but you don't need to. So it's great.
Let's keep it clean.
So sex robots could start to experience human-like sensations. Scientists have developed artificial intelligence that links to a printed skin that allows robots to feel.
So there's a fake skin which sends signals to the robot's brain. Do they have a brain?
Yeah,
I don't know. Or is that just cyborgs? What is this?
These ones, I mean, it'll have some sort of simple response mechanism, so it'll appear to be feeling touch. So it'll make sex robots more realistic, which is going to go down very well in Japan, I should imagine.
Yeah, Are you happy about this, Josh?
Well, there's a few things here. First of all, it's interesting that every time it comes out as like a serious thing, they're like, we're hoping humans are going to get more control over the robots. The robots now will be safer in terms of chemicals. And then instantly it just goes, sex bots! So that's where it goes to straight away.
Well, that's all we have time for, thankfully. Thank you to my guests, Leo Kearse and Josh Howie, and we will be back tomorrow for Headliners at the usual time of 11 o'clock. See you then.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood, and every weekday we bring you The Briefing live from 9:30 a.m. The stories, analysis, and live debate that you need to hear.
Quite right, Tom, of course.
Was this something that had been considered at all?
Difficult to answer.
Gas-guzzling helicopters circling. Noise is being made here.
Joe Biden walking out. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, Monday to Friday, 9:30 a.m. on GB News.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
we embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you. And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the